Okay, our next writer, her name is Lynne Handy, and she is a member of the Chicago Writers Association, the Kentucky State Poetry Society, and Sisters in Crime. She's written 2 novels, In the Time of Peacocks and The Untold Story of Edwina, and her work has been published in Clementine Poetry Journal, Memoir Journal, Lark's Fiction Magazine, and Pegasus. She's a retired library director living in North Aurora, where she writes poetry and short stories. Lynne, where are you? There she is. Come on up.
Thank you.
Right height.
About right?
All right.
Okay. Can you hear me? Okay. Hello, all of you. I want you to know I'm grateful to Anne and her Waterline committee for including my work tonight. I'm going to read 6 poems that all come from deep places in my psyche, my soul. I know the Waterline audience often applauds after the reading of each poem, but I'd rather you wait until the end if you don't mind. And I have this poster over here of Picasso's Guernica. And although it's expressly for one of the poems I have, which is entitled My Guernica, it kind of, all my poems are rather dark and tonight, so it can work for all. My first poem is not Harry Lime's Dots, which is inspired by the shootings in Orlando and the 1949 film The Third Man, starring Orson Welles as Harry Lime. Excuse me. Camera, angled shot of war-torn Vienna. Zither music, frenzied, pulsing. From a Viennese Ferris wheel, Harry Lime glances down at people on the streets, calls them dots. Close up. You know Harry, the guy who waters down penicillin for sick children and makes a killing. So innocents die. He feels no pity for the death of dots. Says so, right from between his lips. Greed and distance shield him from the dying. He's deaf to smothered cries for mama. He does not comfort the bereaved or visit graves to lay sprays of baby's breath and balm. A dark figure shadowed by slow grinding spokes of the Ferris wheel. Harry smiles. Evil oozes from his skin. How many bloodfests ago were innocents massacred in Charleston, San Bernardino, Aurora, Fort Hood, Sandy Hook, other schools? Will this movie never end? Tilted bar scene, Orlando. Nearly 100 not dots gunned down there. Vanishing point beyond the frame. And that's the end of that poem. The second poem is called Storm on the River, and I think it's very political. I wrote it during the time of the campaigns. Maybe with an idea of what the ending was going to be. Storm on the river. The river snakes a pathway through the valley. Petrified trees chant a black mass. Roots park like dragon's lips to sip the wine, and unruly eddies snatch driftwood wafers hurtling by. On the second Curie, an egret genuflex lifts its beak to stab a defrocked badger's toe. Owls hoot blasphemies, we cover our ears. River winds howl at the pale moon as we gather the drowning into our catamaran. And that's the end of that poem. The next one is, let's see, trouble. Forget-me-nots, and this is Living Out a Strange Day. Forget-me-nots. Ants ate the dead fly. They orbited its corpse, tore it apart with bear-trap teeth, and bore it away. Nothing left on the deck, no wingtip, not even a stain. On the way to Dallas, a dead man passed in a black hearse flying a red flag. A priest drove behind to tie up loose ends, his white collar bright in the sun. Lunching out, I read of a man who overdosed. At his memorial, close friends mea culpa'd. No circle of closure, only wreaths of time and forget-me-nots. I searched the cafe wall for something, reassurance. Knotholes reveal a tulip, an erect penis, a laughing cat, a maiden's profile with parted lips. And the next one, number 4, is called Graffiti. And this is to my 3 daughters. When you told me, I believed you straight away. Truth is a skinny redhead speaking plain. The day dawned with a bright sun and suffered a permanent eclipse. There you stood, in drab green t-shirt and scruffy jeans, eyes dark, steady. I acted in a blink, severing him with the quick ink of a judge's pen, like a slur your dad whirred away in his Toyota. I'd been blinded by my grocery list, sterile floors, vacuumed rugs, futile hugs, my Presbyterian past with decent men. All that kept me from saving my blossoms from their crushing. If I were to do it over, I'd let the dishes go, ignore sticky handprints on the doors, welcome grit crunch on the floors. I'd serve hot dogs and chips, run with you in the sun, and find the nick in time to save you. I'd be the friend you needed. I'd understand why you hated your body, why you flaunted yours, built fires and stole, while you patrolled the yard with Tuffy the battle cat. 40 years later, I say to one of you, let's spray pedophile on his tombstone with black paint. You say, 2 old women skulking around in a graveyard with an empty can of pain. And then the next one is my Guernica. This poem is woven into Picasso's masterpiece, and perhaps this is the only way I could write this poem. The painting depicts the artist's reaction to the German and Italian Air Force's practice bombing of a Spanish village in 1937, before the Germans moved on to the London Blitz. The poem describes the Blitz that came to our family 10 and 11 years ago. My Guernica. My grandsons, Gideon and Matthew, killed themselves. Before Gideon died, he shot his mother, who survived. Don't these calamities happen to other people? This is from the diary of Lynne Handy, Fort Worth, Texas, February 2006. It's all there on the newsprint, painting of agony and war. A matador, he is dead. His arm and blade severed near the hilt. The bull's dagger tongue goes up in smoke. A sword gores a horse, whose lips peel to bear mortuary teeth. The dead-eyed woman squints at heaven. A child wriggles in her arms, bombillas for hope. The day of the attack, the refrigerator coos. Like Hinkle 52s, bombs are direct hits. One boy is dead from a gunshot. Another jumps off a bridge. A daughter loses half her jaw to a bullet. With a click of their tongues, 2 women grieve fallen sons. Teeth roll like pearls on the living room rug. Blood thinned with rain runs red on the porch. Half a brain stains the wall in the corridor. A detective's white card waits by the phone. I sensed impending catastrophe. Strong-minded children test bonds, but this was more than that, a wrenching apart, inflexibility, a craving to blame. I was a quail with feigned dead wings, dancing to save her nest. I danced with words, pleading for peace. I counseled with priests, therapists. I prayed on my knees and unholies do, writhing in pain on arthritic bones. A 3-eyed nurse says, Guernica has come. Like the matador, my pretty grandsons are dead. My daughter's baby lips, which compared my breast to apples, now propped open like a guppy's. She will live. The bullet lodges near her left ear. I sit on a chair and howl. This is written on newsprint, this telling. And then finally the summing up in a poem called Poet's Heart. I'm a poet, I say, watching my heart pulsate on the computer screen. The technologist smiles, keeps his eyes on the monitor, then rattles off a few lines rife with rhyme. I tell him end rhyme is passé, that he must compose in conversational cadences. He grins. I am quiet, watching my blood flow, imaged in bright red, royal blue, and when it gushes, yellow. Doppler effect. Beat on. Do you know what part was damaged by your heart attack? The back, I replied. I see the bubble in the wall. Report will read akinetic. Beat on, brave muscle, my personal pump. You and I know of recouping loss. We fielded erotic entanglement, sorrow for our suicides, gratitude for a strawberry-covered cake, hopeless estrangements, rage at the world's horrors, starburst of love for the youth at my table, and translated it all into verse. Beat on. And that's it.